Graham Whitaker had built a $50 billion empire, but on the night he walked into his own luxury restaurant disguised as a frail homeless man, he felt smaller than he had ever been in his life. People didn't just ignore him. They recoiled, whispered, sneered. Every cruel stare carved into him until he almost believed he truly was invisible. And then, when he had finally given up on humanity, a young black waitress named Maya Porter did something no one else dared. She saw him. Not the disguise, not the dirt, not the poverty. She saw the broken man behind it. But Maya had no idea that her small act of dignity would unleash a storm that would destroy careers, expose deep racial prejudice, rewrite her future, and shake an entire room of powerful people to their core. Stay with this story, because what happens next will shock you. Graham Whitaker had spent 52 years building an empire so vast that his signature alone could shift global markets. Yet tonight, as he stared at his reflection in the dusty mirror of his penthouse service hallway, he looked nothing like the man who graced Forbes covers. He looked tired, worn, empty, and for the first time in his life, he felt invisible. His doctor's warning still echoed in his head. Your heart won't hold much longer, Graham. Not like this. Not with the stress, not with the loneliness, not with $50 billion and no one who truly saw him. So he did something no one could have predicted. He disguised himself. An old frayed coat, secondhand boots, smudged glasses, a knit cap pulled low. Tonight he would walk into one of his own restaurants, the Monarch Room, not as the billionaire owner, but as a man the world ignored. He stepped into the October cold and walked 15 blocks through Midtown. People avoided his eyes. Some crossed the street. One woman clutched her purse tighter. He wasn't surprised. He had spent decades surrounded by wealth. He knew exactly how people looked at those without it, but he didn't expect the sting to feel this sharp. When he reached the Monarch Room, Manhattan's shimmering crown jewel, warm light poured from its tall windows. Inside, wealthy patrons laughed over caviar and $600 bottles of wine, and none of them, not one, noticed the frail man pushing open the heavy door. The moment he entered, silence rippled through the staff. Then the hostility began. Elliot Graves, the sharply dressed floor manager, looked him up and down with a smile so cold it could frost glass. Sir, this restaurant has a dress code. Perhaps you're looking for the shelter on 52nd Street. I'd like a table, Graham rasped. Elliot's jaw tightened. We are fully booked. There are empty tables right there, Graham said gently. Those are reserved for people who actually belong here. His voice didn't just dismiss Graham. It erased him. Within minutes, Graham was shoved toward the smallest, noisiest alcove near the kitchen doors. No table setting, no water, no menu. Just the steady swing of kitchen doors and the pointed avoidance of every waiter who passed him. A group of patrons nearby whispered loudly, God, the manager should kick him out. He smells like the street. How did he even get in? Graham folded his hands in his lap. He had expected bias. He had expected cruelty. But the blunt force of their disgust, it chipped at him more than he imagined. Maybe his test had already failed. Maybe humanity was exactly as hollow as he feared. He was about to stand, about to let the world prove him right, when a soft voice reached him. Good evening, sir. May I help you? He looked up, and for a moment, he forgot how to breathe. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't even dressed like the senior staff. Her apron was worn. Her shoes were tired. But her eyes, warm, deep, sharply intelligent, belonged to someone who saw what others refused to see. Her name tag read Maya. Maya Porter was a young black woman working an exhausting double shift. Her mother was sick. Her bills were drowning her. She knew exactly what the world did to people who looked like her, how they were talked over, talked down to, or talked about as if they weren't in the room. But none of that changed the way she saw him. May I bring you some water? Maya asked softly. Graham blinked. They said not to serve me. I heard. Her tone didn't tremble. It steadied. Water isn't a luxury. It's basic decency. Her simple kindness punched through a lifetime of noise. She laid a fresh napkin on his table, smoothing it gently. She brought a clean glass. She poured water like she was serving one of the CEOs dining 10 feet away. And something inside him, something old, fragile, and buried, shifted. Then fate pushed the moment further. As Maya set the glass down, Graham fumbled the small metal token he always carried, the only thing left of his mother, and it clattered onto the table. Maya froze the instant she saw it, the tiny crest, the delicate engraved flower, the symbol she recognized from her graduate research in art history. "The Kiri blossom," she whispered, her voice filled with awe, not pity. She stepped back, placed her hands at her sides, and gave a small, precise bow, one rooted in respectful tradition, not subservience. In a restaurant where everyone saw him as trash, this young black woman saw his history, saw his humanity. When she rose, Graham's throat tightened. No one in 60 years had honored his heritage like that. But across the room, Elliot Graves was watching, and he was furious. He stormed toward them, jaw clenched, eyes burning. "Maya, a word now!" Graham watched as Elliot grabbed her arm, pulling her aside just out of earshot, but not out of sight. Even from the alcove, he could read the venom on Elliot's lips. "He is nothing. You wasted time on trash. You people need to follow instructions. You people." Graham had heard enough, but before he could stand, the situation exploded. Warren Blake, the wealthy patron at the next table, slammed his wine glass on the table. "You," he barked toward Maya. "I've been waiting for 10 minutes. Get back here, and don't walk away when I'm talking to you." Maya straightened. Her voice shook, but it didn't break. "I'm helping another guest, sir, and please don't speak to me like that." The restaurant fell silent. A black woman talking back to a millionaire? The audacity, their eyes seemed to say. The nerve, the disrespect. Warren Blake stood, red-faced. "You're fired," he snapped at Elliot. "Right now. Fire her, or I'll take my business elsewhere." Elliot didn't hesitate. "Maya Porter, you're done here. Get your things." Maya inhaled sharply. The world blurred. Her mother's medical bills, her tuition, her job, all gone within seconds. Not because she failed, but because she dared to show kindness. Graham felt something sudden and volcanic rise inside him. He had walked into the Monarch Room expecting to test humanity. He didn't expect humanity to show up as a young black woman with tired eyes and unshakable dignity, and he certainly didn't expect to feel anger, real anger, at how the world treated her. He pressed his palms against the table. Slowly he stood, and with a voice that carried decades of authority, he said, "Enough." The entire restaurant froze. If you witnessed a moment like this in real life, would you step in? Yes or no? The word didn't come out loud. It came out final. Every head in the Monarch Room turned toward the frail old man in the patched coat, the man they'd been ignoring, avoiding, whispering about. Only now, he didn't look frail at all. Graham Whitaker stood tall, shoulders straight, eyes sharp as steel. Something electric ran through the room. Even Maya, tears still clinging to her lashes, froze in place. Elliot Graves blinked. "Sir, sit down. This doesn't concern—" "It concerns me," Graham said, his voice slicing clean through the air. "More than you can possibly imagine." Warren Blake scoffed. "Oh, please, what are you going to do, old man? You can't even pay for that water she brought you." A low murmur rippled through the dining room. Someone snickered. Someone else whispered, "Why is this homeless guy making a scene?" Maya flinched at the words. It wasn't just directed at Graham. She'd heard the same tone all her life. Dismissive, cold, assumptive. A tone that said, "People like you don't belong here." She wiped her cheek and backed away, instinct telling her not to draw attention, not to escalate, not to add fuel to a fire she didn't start. But Graham didn't let her retreat. "Miss Porter," he said, turning toward her without breaking his commanding stance. "Don't move." His voice wasn't unkind. It wasn't an order. It was protection. And no one in that restaurant, no one, knew what to do with that. Elliot cleared his throat, trying to regain control. "Sir, please. This restaurant has standards." She disrespected a guest. She ignored her duties. And quite frankly, he hesitated, but only for a second. With the way she carries herself, she's lucky she ever got hired. There it was, the knife, not even hidden. Maya's stomach dropped. A few patrons exchanged glances, some awkward, some approving. Warren Blake gave a satisfied nod, as if Elliot had said exactly what he wanted to say himself. Graham's jaw tightened. "Say it," he demanded quietly. Elliot blinked. "Say what?" "Say what you meant." Graham stepped forward. "Finish your sentence." Elliot swallowed. His eyes flickered to the wealthy diners watching him. His pride refused to let him back down. "You hired someone like her," he muttered, "and now she's costing us business." Maya closed her eyes. She felt the sting, not because it surprised her, but because it didn't. Graham, however, reacted as if the air had been ripped out of the room. "You don't get to do that," he said, voice low and dangerous. "You don't get to decide someone's worth because of their skin, or their paycheck, or where they come from." The restaurant had gone dead silent. Elliot laughed nervously. "With respect, sir, you have no authority here. You're just—" But he didn't finish, because the front doors of the Monarch Room burst open. Two men in sleek black suits stepped inside, scanning the space with professional precision. Everyone in the restaurant stiffened. These were not security guards from the restaurant. These were professionals, the kind hired by the very rich or the very powerful. Then a third man entered, Daniel Huxley, Chief Operating Officer of Whitaker Global Trust, a man who had appeared on financial news channels, a man whose name was synonymous with corporate power, a man who absolutely did not walk into restaurants unless something monumental was happening. He spotted Graham immediately, and he bowed his head. "Mr. Whitaker," Daniel said, "you called?" The world stopped. Elliot stared. "Mr. Whitaker?" But the old man in the shabby coat wasn't confirming anything. He was already shedding the disguise. He removed the smudged glasses, the knit cap, the heavy coat that slumped onto the floor like the skin of a snake he'd outgrown. Underneath was a man they all recognized from magazines, interviews, billboards across Manhattan. Not a homeless man, not a nobody, not invisible. Graham Whitaker, billionaire, owner of Whitaker Global Trust, owner of the Monarch Room, and the man they had mocked, ignored, and humiliated. Someone gasped. Someone else dropped their fork. A couple visibly blanched. Elliot stumbled backward. "Sir, I didn't know. I had no idea." "That," Graham said, "is the problem." Warren Blake's face turned bright red. "Mr. Whitaker, this is all a misunderstanding. The girl, she was rude. She—" Graham turned to him with the cold calm of a man who'd made boardroom titans cry. "You snapped your fingers at her like she was your property." Warren's mouth opened, then closed. "You spoke to her," Graham continued, "the way men like you have spoken to people who look like her for generations. As if decency only applies upward, never downward." A few diners shifted uncomfortably. "People like her?" Graham repeated, turning slowly toward Elliot. "Tell me, what exactly does that mean to you?" Elliot's face drained of color. "Sir, I swear, that's not—" "Enough," Graham said again. But this time it didn't just stop a room. It stopped Elliot's career. "You fired a woman who showed more integrity in the 5 minutes she spent helping me," Graham said, "than you have in your 15 years managing this place." Maya felt the breath catch in her throat. She wasn't used to anyone, let alone a billionaire, speaking for her, standing up for her, seeing her. Graham turned to Daniel. "Remove Elliot Graves from my property, effective immediately." Elliot's knees buckled. "Mr. Whitaker, please. I have a family. I've worked so hard." "And yet," Graham said, "not hard enough to treat people with basic dignity." The security team stepped forward, placing their hands gently but firmly on Elliot's arms. He tried one last desperate plea. "Maya, say something. Tell him I'm not— Tell him—" But Maya only stared at him. For the first time in her life, she didn't shrink back. She didn't apologize. She didn't try to make herself smaller to comfort someone who had diminished her. "You said exactly who you are," she said quietly. "I just finally listened." Elliot broke. They escorted him out as he begged, his voice fading into the cold Manhattan night. Graham turned to Warren Blake next. "You," he said, "are no longer welcome at any Whitaker Global property. Ever." Warren sputtered. "You can't—" "I already did." He grabbed his coat and fled without another word. And then the impossible happened. The room, full of New York's wealthiest, began applauding, not because they agreed, but because they were stunned by the spectacle of a billionaire taking down two powerful men in the span of 60 seconds. Yet Graham heard none of them. His eyes were locked only on one person, Maya Porter, the woman who had sparked all of this. "Miss Porter," he said gently, "walk with me." And for the first time all night, Maya didn't feel afraid. She felt seen. The cold air outside the Monarch room felt different now, lighter somehow, as if the night itself had been holding its breath and finally exhaled. Maya Porter stepped onto the sidewalk beside Graham Whitaker, the billionaire she once believed was just an old man forgotten by the world. Traffic hummed, neon lights reflected off wet pavement, and for the first time in hours, Maya felt her heartbeat slowing. She didn't speak at first. Neither did Graham. Daniel Huxley, the COO, walked a respectful distance behind them, giving space but staying close enough to act if needed. Cars rolled past. Curious passers-by glanced at the strange trio, an elegant executive, a tired young black woman in a wrinkled server's apron, and a billionaire disguised as a ghost of himself. "That was," Maya finally whispered. "I don't even know what that was." "Truth," Graham said simply. He didn't look triumphant. He looked relieved, as if the truth had been trapped inside him for decades and tonight someone finally let it breathe. They approached a waiting black sedan, its surface polished like obsidian. A driver opened the door, but Graham raised a hand. "No, Maya, before we go anywhere, I want to tell you why tonight happened." She hesitated. "Sir, I don't know why you're involving me in any of this. I'm nobody special." Graham turned slowly toward her. "You are," he said, "and I'm going to prove it." He sat on a low stone ledge under the yellow streetlight and motioned for her to sit too. She did, carefully, awkwardly, still unsure if this was all real. "I built an empire," Graham began. "Money, buildings, networks, influence. Every piece built on pressure and fear. But none of it meant anything once I realized I had no one to share my life with." Maya's brows softened. "I'm sorry, Mr. Whitaker." He shook his head. "No need to be sorry. But my doctor told me yesterday that stress might kill me, and it forced me to see the truth. I may have billions, but I had no purpose left." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small metal crest she had recognized earlier, the kiri blossom shimmering faintly under the streetlights. "My mother gave me this the year before she died," and he said. "It was the last piece of her heritage I kept, a symbol of resilience, of beauty in broken things." Maya lowered her eyes. "I shouldn't have stared. I didn't mean to pry." "On the contrary," he said gently, "you were the only one who really saw it." "Or me." A lump formed in her throat. "I wasn't sure I wanted to keep living," Graham admitted quietly. "So I disguised myself to see if humanity still had any kindness left. And then you, someone who has every reason to be bitter, every reason to look away, showed compassion no one else in that room could muster." Maya swallowed hard. I couldn't ignore someone who looked like they were hurting. I know what that feels like." Her voice cracked slightly, not from weakness, but from honesty. Graham nodded slowly. "Exactly, you know pain, but you didn't let it harden you." He stood again. This time he faced her fully. "Maya Porter, I want to offer you a job. Not as a waitress, not as an assistant, something far more important." She blinked. "A job? What kind of job?" "A leadership role in the Whitaker Foundation," he said. "Specifically, Director of Cultural Preservation for our Japanese art collection, a project worth hundreds of millions." Maya almost choked. That's impossible. I'm a graduate student. I work nights so I can afford textbooks. I can't run a museum division." "You can," Graham replied, "because knowledge is teachable. Empathy is not. Integrity is not. And tonight, you showed you have more of both than anyone in that dining room." Her hands trembled. This wasn't just an opportunity. It was life-changing. "But my mother," she whispered. "She's at Hudson Valley Neurocare and the bills all covered," Graham said. "Effective immediately. The Whitaker Foundation will take full responsibility for her treatment for as long as she needs it. No conditions?" Maya pressed her hand to her mouth. She tried to hold it in, but tears spilled anyway. Years of exhaustion, Fear, scraping by, fighting a system not built for families like hers. "No catch," she whispered. "No fine print?" "None," Graham said softly. "I'm not helping you because you bowed to me. I'm helping you because you honored something sacred, and because you reminded me of the man I want to be." She cried quietly, and he let her. When she finally steadied her breath, he held out his hand. "So, Maya Porter, will you help me rebuild something beautiful?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes," she said, "I will." Daniel Huxley stepped forward then, unable to hide a rare smile. "Welcome to Whitaker Global, Ms. Porter." Maya laughed in disbelief, a small breathless sound. People nearby glanced in confusion at the odd scene. A billionaire, his COO, and a young black woman in server's clothing, shaking hands on a Manhattan sidewalk at midnight. But none of them understood what had just happened. A life had changed. A future was rewritten. A crack in the world had opened, and light poured through. Graham placed the crest gently into Maya's palm. "My mother believed broken things could become more beautiful," he said. "Tonight, you proved she was right." Maya looked down at the crest, its edges warm against her skin. "I'll protect it," she whispered, "and I'll protect your mother's legacy." Graham nodded, eyes shining. "And I'll protect yours." They stepped into the waiting car together, not as Billionaire and Waitress, but as two people who had saved each other in different ways. As the car pulled away from the curb, Maya glanced back at the Monarch Room, the place where she had been humiliated, and the place where she had risen, and she smiled. For the first time in her life, she felt powerful, not because someone rescued her, but because someone finally saw her worth, and because now she would never let anyone erase it again. Do you believe Maya deserved this life-changing opportunity after everything she went through? Yes or no? Should more people be held accountable for racial discrimination the way Graham held Elliot and Warren accountable? Yes or no? If you enjoyed this story, comment the number 111 below, tell us which country you're watching from, and share this video so more people can feel its message.